Assembly Member Twycross.
Thank you. I've got a question for the Mayor, and I'm concerned that people's anecdotal examples should be taken quite seriously, because this is what people are telling us on the doorstep.
Yeah.
What Caroline's picking up, what Joanne's picking up, what everybody who's spoken about the anecdotes is picking up on the doorstep. And I don't ever remember a time when crime and fear of crime has come up as much as it is currently on the doorstep. And it's notable every single time, which I go several times a week, knocking on doors, annoying people, asking them if they've got any issues. It comes up as an issue, and I don't ever remember a time when crime's come up as much as it is now. So, for example, in Val's constituency, on my doorstep in Dulwich, there's been an increase of burglaries of 11%, which people are talking about, and they're concerned about it, and they're talking to their neighbours about it. In Herne Hill, there's been a 44% increase in burglaries. And I spoke to a resident whose neighbour's door had been kicked in broad daylight, where 3 other neighbours on the same street had similar problems. And part of it, because I've been trying to sort of identify what it is about the patterns that I'm getting when people are talking to me, and part of it seems to be about what's happening on borough boundaries. So I'm quite concerned about sort of the impact of the changes to the police models on borough boundaries, where you're getting sort of some sort of sense that things are being centralised, but on borough boundaries there seems to be spikes. And I think that the issue appears to be that the police simply aren't present to the same level as they were previously, and that this is leading to unacceptable spikes in crime such as burglaries. And so people are being told, and obviously Joanne picked this up from the PCSO she spoke to, that people are being told by their local police that the response they are getting and the impact is being affected by police numbers and the patterns of policing. And we've got evidences from Streatham, from Hackney and Bow. We've got real examples of people telling us that this is happening. And these are all areas where the visible policing has fallen, where they've seen police stations closing, and where they're seeing fewer PCSOs on the street. So wards near borough boundaries do appear to be particularly affected from what we're being told. And I think this could indicate that some of the patterns of crime appear to be changing to reflect a shift in resources and depletion of safer neighbourhood teams and centralisation of resources. And I appreciate that preventative crime mapping is being rolled out, but it feels to me that's quite a reactive approach that will potentially have an impact on the areas from which police are then moved away from. So the issues sort of being shifted from one area to another, and that the only real solution, it feels to me, is to reverse the changes to safer neighbourhood teams. I think Caroline's point about what's happening in Rotherhithe is also very relevant. So will you ask MOPAC to investigate changes in patterns, so not necessarily the overall level of crime, but whether the changes of crime, the patterns changing, and also look at fear of crime on a ward level, because, as I said, I've never heard this before to the same extent on
Fiona, well, I mean, some very interesting points there, I think, because what you're really saying is that yes, Bernard and I can sit here and tell you there's an overall reduction in burglary, which there is, and actually an overall increase in confidence, which there is. But you're pointing something very, very interesting, which we must attend to, which is there may be unintended consequences of the LPM that are leading to problems on borough boundaries. I can't sit here and simply contradict you. Of course I couldn't. And we'd have to go away and look at what's going on, and particularly in those wards which are experiencing burglary figures or whatever that are bucking the trend. See if there's something to do with the safer neighbourhood teams, something to do with the number of police out there that could be correlated with that. I think that's the best I can offer you.
It's the only common thread I can think of in the areas that it's been raised with me. So
maybe there are other factors.
Yeah, no, it could be, but the only common thread I've identified is that they're all on borough boundaries, and obviously where you've got centralisation, that's an impact. So I think it'd be great if you could also look at crime rates for wards generally on those boundaries, and just sort of establish. I think it would be helpful if you could establish if they're higher than the rates overall.
I certainly think the MOPAC should have a look at that,
and
I'm happy to try to help there.
Thank you very much.